Is Valencia, Spain safe for cycling? That's the question Friki de Bici, that's me, Rocco Pendola, is going to try to answer in my next two YouTube videos. We'll start by looking at the different cycling infrastructure that exists here. We just got off of a calle, which I have talked about in the past. It's a street where you just share space with automobiles, and there's a speed limit, usually 30 kilometers per hour, sometimes 20. Now, I'm over by all these parked cars today that are here because on Monday in Rusafa there's a mercadillo. Usually there are no cars here. These cars are just here because it's the vendors who are coming in to set up shop. Normally, like if I went into this van, I could just keep going straight, and I would be in a calle that is the left-hand lane in this two-lane road. Now, on this particular street in Rusafa, you get this a lot. People parked in it, unloading and so forth, but it's not a big deal because the lane to the right, which I'm in right now, is one that is for taxis and buses. So, that's the first environment. I want to like quickly and concisely tell you about all of them. So to do that, we're going to circle back into the heart of Rusafa. So right here you see I'm in a bike lane. To my left is a sidewalk. Now I have two choices here. I can stay on this bike lane. It's a bit windy today. So this bike lane is, in theory, one of the better ones you're going to find. Just a tiled bike lane, parked cars to the right, protecting me from the street, which is a one-lane street. That is important to make note of, because this bike lane, even though in theory it's a really, really good one, isn't my favorite bike lane. I like the structure of it, but I'm not necessarily... See, this is a bad day to do this because it's Monday, it's Mercadillo day, so you see over there, there's like a car in the bike lane. So I'm back in that bike lane I was telling you, I was just on. I like the way that it's structured in theory, but the problem with this one is that you always run into an obstacle for some reason. This is the great thing when you start to get to know a city and you ride around in it a lot, you discover, oh, okay, like that's the one where there's always somebody blindly walking their dog into the bike lane, or there's always pedestrians wandering in, or somebody throwing their garbage out, you know? So usually when I come from where we came from before, I don't take that bike lane. Instead, I hop into the street, which is a calle. Now right now, we're waiting for somebody to do a little bit of garbage pickup on the street, which is fine, gives me time to explain. This to me is the sign of a top-notch cycling environment, right? You have a bike lane off to the left that we just rode in, protected from traffic, part of the sidewalk basically. And then, right next to it, you have the street, a super calm, one-lane road that goes into the neighborhood, which is also bicycle infrastructure. It is a calle. So you have here in Valencia what you don't have in many parts of the world, particularly in the United States. You have choice. As a cyclist, you can make the decision to ride in the, I'll call it sidewalk bike lane, if that makes you feel comfortable. Actually doesn't make me feel comfortable in this particular part of Rusafa. So I always opt to just ride in the streets. A cyclocalle with a maximum speed of 20 kilometers per hour. This setup is common throughout Rusafa and throughout different parts of the city. Bike lane, up on the curb, up on the sidewalk. You are next to a street that carries auto traffic, but very, very, very little auto traffic. And you are next to pedestrians on the sidewalk, but separated by landscaping, street furniture, things like that. Here again, you're hit with choice. I can choose to use the bike lane, which I'll do because there's a garbage truck up here that is stopping traffic. This bike lane, same basic structure as the other one, except parked cars to the left, landscaping and street furniture to the right. I could have made the choice, and I often make the choice, to ride in the cyclocalle. Once again, you have options. Like, is it safe to ride? I feel like it is. But if you're unsteady on the bike and you gotta wait for these two buses to go by, a cab to your left, a car sort of jutted out, it may not feel super safe to you. You know, it's all relative. We'll cover it more in the next video, but okay, very typical situation. This is a protected bike lane sitting next to traffic. It's bi-directional. There are people coming at you on the bike from the other direction. That guy decided he wasn't going to stop for the pedestrians. I think he just didn't see the light. You could tell he was like, oh shit, I made a mistake. The separation is nothing to write home about. It's like, I guess, pylons and some blocks in the ground. But I feel comfortable on it. I mean, when you have a girl coming straight at you on a scooter for some reason, again, might be unsettling for you. It was for me for a second, but I just had faith she was going to move. People on these big-ass electric bikes that zero effort to ride the thing, looking at whatever they're looking at, but not the road in front of them. So, okay. All right, so they're doing a lot of construction here in the heart of town by the train station. Can't wait till it's finished, because I know that when it's finished, there are going to be bicycle infrastructure improvements. That's what a good city does. When they do a project, no matter what that project is, it might be a utility project, they make sure that along with that project, they make other improvements at the ground level, right? Now we're just on a regular street, where I feel like if you can keep the pace that I'm keeping right now, which is probably 18 to 20 kilometers per hour, you're good in the middle of the street. This is in Chinatown, adjacent to the train station. One thing I don't want this channel to be is one where I just reel off a bunch of facts. Valencia has this many kilometers of bike lanes, and this one is called a blah, 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 blah. I want to ride the different environments you're actually going to encounter if you get on a bike here, and just show you what they look like, how I feel about them, and then you make sense of the rest. So, another one, off-street protected. This is right by the train station, where there is also a bit of construction. Okay, so same thing as the bike lane we were on in Rusafa, except could be a little bit more dicey. The question, is it safe to cycle here? Well, yeah, but are you comfortable with these parked cars that are like vertically parked up against the bike lane? Some of them, the front of them jutting in a little bit. You're pretty close to the street. Parts of the street have terraces with people sitting out, eating. I can't answer that for you. Either you're comfortable with it or you're not. I don't know. You don't have to take this route. There are going to be a number of options for you. Like, this is the thing, right? When you get into the car in the United States, generally speaking, you map out a route and you can get where you want to go a number of different ways. That exists here for the bicycle. One thing we're going to talk about in the next video that isn't completely safe are those blind spots. There's a blind spot there we have to point out. Okay, cyclocage. Yet again, another cyclocage, which, if memory serves me correctly, and I hope that it does, is eventually going to bring us to some old school bicycle infrastructure. Here is where it gets just a little bit dicey. I'm on a bike lane right now, riding way slower than I normally would to show you. This is a bike lane painted to the side of the road. There's somebody parked. One of the worst parts about these bike lanes, they're just old school, classic bike lane infrastructures when you get into the bus zone and the bus is bearing down on you. It wasn't in this case, but it often happens. But yeah, like straight ahead on this road. And there are parts of town where there are stretches of these bike lanes. This is only a couple of blocks. Right here, this little intersection right here is not the most bike-friendly intersection in Valencia. Like right now, I'm not in a good position, right? Not in a good position at all. I have a metro bus behind me. I've got this bike lane painted on the side of the street, hugging the curb in front of me. Like, I don't know necessarily what to do when I get up there, and I ride around here a lot. And I'm still like, what am I gonna do here? You have people like jaywalking in the middle of the street, like, so crazy. So, okay, well, I wanna go straight. And I'm just sort of in this little no man's land. However, I still have the choice. I can go on the busy streets, or I can ride on this, I guess, local street, we might call it. And get right by behind this bus, which is an electric vehicle, by the way, so you don't have to breathe in its exhaust when you're behind it, which is welcome. But you're still behind a bus. So, for me, that's not really a big deal, the environment we just passed through. It's not ideal. If the entire city was like this, it would be a subpar, undeniably unsafe cycling city. It would be Los Angeles, or maybe even worse. If what we rode through was the way it was everywhere, this place might be worse than Los Angeles, but that is the exception to the rule, like the big time exception to the rule. Cities do have a role if they want to truly provide choice and provide great pedestrian environments, great cycling environments, alternatives to the automobile. I think they have an obligation to train, to condition drivers. I think they have an obligation to make it difficult for drivers to get around. I think they have an obligation to make it clear to drivers that if you choose to drive, it's not going to be easy, and it might even be expensive. So just like there's a Mercadillo on Mondays in Rusafa, there's also a Mercadillo on Mondays in the Old City. So space is at a bit more of a premium. But I first noticed this in Spain when we went to Barcelona in a neighborhood called Gracia. And the way that they have the streets set up there, these little posts coming out of the ground, and the way the curbs are caught in the corner, and just the width of the streets, everything about the infrastructure makes it hard to drive. Like, it's difficult. You see drivers struggling to make turns, and that's because the infrastructure isn't built for them to easily and conveniently just whip their steering wheel and make a turn. In my opinion, that's the way it should be all over the world. Typical street of the old city, right? Bit of a free-for-all. I love it. As I see it, this is how it should be. I'm not distracted by the police officer that I have behind me. I always wonder how tolerant the police are here of people on bikes bending or breaking the rules. I like weave between the sidewalk and the street. My destination, by the way, I have one, is the park. I don't know if that cop is still there, so let's do this the legal way. Yeah, it's like feeling things out, you know? I don't know how they are here in terms of what they let go, or if you catch somebody in a bad mood. One time I'm riding through San Francisco and I roll through a stop sign, zero impact in anybody's life, and cop stops me and gives me a ticket. So you just never know. Okay, about it, here we go. This is a bike lane protected from the street, but again, just by these little barriers in the ground. And this is a relatively busy street. I want to cover this in detail. See what we have there? You see what we have? I guess I have to cover it now because it just happened, but that blind spot is easily the #1 safety issue you have when you ride your bike here. I had a green, I could go. There are cars turning left right into my bike lane. Now if I'm coming the other way, like this guy is, they're gonna see me as they're making a left turn, they're gonna stop. If they're not looking over their shoulder to find me in that situation that I was just in, and they weren't, I have the potential for some problems. If that shook you a little bit, all you need to do is ride your bike down this little ramp, make the sharp turn. Also, when you're making sharp turns, sometimes it's easier just to lean your bike and don't turn your wheel as much. And you can ride on this bumpy yet super chill, you can't call it a bike lane, it's a bike path in the park. You're gonna encounter the occasional pedestrian, but it's no big deal. Everybody's pretty chill here. Every once in a while, if someone's in the way, you'll hear somebody say, hey, this is a bike lane. But they have it pretty clearly marked. So this is a bike lane. Off to the left, there's places to walk, there's places to run. Like, it's all situated clearly and logically throughout the length of Turia Park, which is a huge park. The other obstacle or danger is like this kind of thing right here. No big deal, but if you're not, if you're not paying attention, you might end up bumping into one of those people. But see, I don't understand. This is the thing. It's like when somebody gets upset about something or acts like an idiot here, it sticks out because nobody ever does. Like, I couldn't have seen in the United States somebody sort of being a jerk to those 3 people that just sort of strolled into the bike lane. It's like, should they be? I was like, but who cares, Like, for example, right when we got to San Francisco on our trip back there in May, like literally the second we got back, we were just greeted by the rudeness and hostility of the prevailing culture, it seems, in the United States right now. We didn't know where to scan our transit passes to get into the metro system or the BART system in San Francisco at the airport. And it was not intuitive. It was down at like knee level for whatever reason. It wasn't at the top of the turnstile where you would just, you know, tap it with your phone or whatever. You had to literally go down to knee level on the side of this panel. Why? I don't know. So we're standing there confused, and this guy walks up behind me and my wife and just says, "This is how it's done," and scans it and walks through and gets on his train. Like, seriously? Now, I'm not saying everybody in the United States is going to handle the situation that way, but it's more likely to happen that way there than it is here. Here it's going to be either nothing happens, they just let you struggle, or somebody stops you, usually somebody that works for the system, and says, "Hey, this is how it works." Lots of the bridges here have bike lanes that are protected, and then they connect into the sidewalk lanes like this. Like, these are all over the city. Here again, I'm not going to run down the facts of there are this many, that many, whatever. It's like there are a zillion YouTube videos and a zillion web pages where you can find out all the same information about Valencia, or about anything, really. I just want to do it and show it to you and add my 2 cents. I think and I hope that's more valuable. Like, it's more valuable to know that on the many, many kilometers of bike infrastructure here, that on these tiled bike paths along the sidewalk, sometimes there are loose tiles, sometimes there are missing tiles. They fix them on a regular basis, but still, they're all over the place. And if you hit one of those when you're riding, there's a good chance you're gonna crash. So be careful. So I wanna go back over this bridge. Whoop. Protected lane against traffic. So in the next video, I think I covered most of the infrastructure. I love it. So funny, so cute. The kids on bikes here, oh, they're the best. They're tourists, obviously, that was my first thought when I saw them, is in the next video we're going to talk about, okay, safety and perceptions and feelings of safety, and get into the nuance of that. And as I saw those tourists, I see a ton of tourists on bikes here, doing it like they did, just a family renting bikes and riding all over the place, and in groups, and just people by themselves or whatever. And it's always something that has really impressed me, because it's not always easy to ride a bike, and it can be scary. It can be intimidating. When you see the number of people who are doing it, you know, I presume they're not all necessarily riding at home, unless they're from the Netherlands. It's pretty impressive, it really is. And I've only seen one instance of, I saw a girl wipe out on the sidewalk on Rusafa yesterday on a rental bike. I felt bad for her. Her and her boyfriend were obviously on vacation, and they were both dressed all nice, and she just ate the sidewalk. She was fine, but you just don't see that. Like the tourists, they ride and they handle their shit well. It's pretty cool. And maybe that's because this is a safe and comfortable city to ride in. I don't know. All I know is for as safe and comfortable it is, it's not for everybody. Or, maybe more aptly, it's about where you choose to ride and how you choose to do it. That might be the bigger factor in the equation. So, that's what we're going to cover in the next video when we continue talking about safety. Is Valencia, Spain a safe city for cycling? Well, it's all relative. It's all about how you define safety and how comfortable you are in the first place. So hopefully this little rough but real bike lane tutorial helped you. And we'll hit safety a bit more in the next video. This is Friki de Bici. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. And we'll see you